flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, guys. Off on another nice little hike. Gonna take a new route today. I'm gonna take y'all down the highway a little bit and show you some, what are they called? Metates? Or it's the places in the rock where the natives were grinding their corn and stuff. Just can't remember the actual name of them. There's some that are down here. I was looking at it on Google Maps the other day. I've been to it in person quite a long time ago. But yesterday I was just looking to see how far away this particular hill was, because it's a hill that I just really like. I think it's got to have a decent amount of cave going on in it because it's limestone. It's pretty isolated. It's pretty old and eaten up. And the first time I ever saw it, there's this beautiful sinkhole that's been filled in clearly. But right outside of it is, again, I forget the name of them. I think it's something like metate, M-E-T-A-T-E, I believe. But it just always occurred to me that, you know, if you've got those there, and they're in the bare sort of like bedrock, like the stone. They're not small little ones that, you know, you could pick up hypothetically and carry camp to camp, which means they must have spent a lot of time there. And, you know, being a big limestone hill with the metates and the big sinkhole that clearly to me looks like it used to be cave entrance, and it's just been, whether on purpose or just collapsed, it's been filled in. Makes me feel like there was probably natives there for a very, very, very long time, I would imagine. You know, generation after generation, probably staying at that spot because of its access to the underground, where things are a little cooler here in Arizona. And there also tends to be water inside a cave, even if not like a giant lake or anything, even if it's just a few slow drips here and there, you know, that can be enough to maintain quite a bit of people if it's a steady, constant drip over time. Paul's Handyman, good morning. Jordan, good morning. Christopher, good morning. Philip, good morning. My goodness, everybody's here. How's the foot doing? Okay, really. I definitely do still have the spur, but it is just nothing like it was. In fact, the only time I really, truly notice the spur is either if I walk on it for like an entire day, like all day, or when I'm in bed at night, I rub the bottom of my foot on my bedpost and I can feel the spur under it, but it's weirdly a good feeling, you know, it's like rubbing something that's sore. So, hold on, I'm gonna pull my sock up here. Probably stop a few times to pull my socks up. Just because I'm breaking in new boots, so the top of the boot rubs on the calves. Mike, good morning, sir. So, yeah, we're gonna go check these out. It's quite a hike. It's gonna be I guess a longer hike probably than I usually take. But then again, I've been doing some really long ones anyways. I'm taking a new route. This should be interesting. In fact, here, I'll turn my camera around. Y'all don't really need to watch me anyways. Taking a new route. This over here by my house, I just love. This entire arena here, they use this thing. As you can see, they've got some big poles around the perimeter with some lighting. They've got their little, well, it's not little, it's a large announcer's tower over there. They've got some facilities back behind it. And oftentimes from my front porch after dark, and I don't really know like specifically what it is that they do over here, but oftentimes from my front porch after dark, you can hear the announcer And you can hear gates opening and clanging, and you can hear some people cheering here and there. So they have a good time over here. It's kind of neat to live near something like this. It's just like their own little mini arena. Jerry said, "Howdy, the hat's awesome. You wear it well." Thank you, sir. Just so y'all know, my hats are, they're not a gimmick. And doesn't mean I'm a cowboy either. I wouldn't claim that title either. But the hat's not a gimmick. The hat is just me. Like, I'm wearing it when I'm not on camera as well. I don't always wear it, just like sitting around inside my house, but I don't leave my house without it. I might take it off in the car and then put it back on when I get out of the car. I may or may not take it off indoors or at a restaurant, and I might leave it on, but there's no gimmick going on with the hat. I just like them. In fact, the older I get, the better I get at really just doing and being whatever feels natural to me. Even my beard. I've gone through so much stuff with my beard, trying to figure out what to do with it, what not to do with it. Listening to friends who do actually care about me, telling me that, if I want my YouTube channel to do well and I want sponsors to take me seriously, then I need to maintain my beard better and I need to look professional and all of these different opinions. And then you got the other opinion of like, oh, well, if you're not authentically you, then you're just fake and nobody should want to work with you. I'm going to pull up this other sock here now. And as a result of all that back and forth, I've trimmed the beard and hated it, and then had to chop a bunch of it off and vowed to never trim it or touch it again. And I've left it alone, and I've touched it, and I've left it alone, and I've touched it, and I've just really gotten to this point now where, I know I like, and I'm just doing what I like at this point. I really am. If there's sponsors that don't want to work with me because I have a big old giant beard, I guess that'll be okay. I'm not trying to become a Mike Rowe anyways. But I'm also not going to let it go all mountain man either, because I can't sit here and preach that you should look like a professional, like a business owner when you run a business. I can't preach that and then not do that. Look at these guys. Good morning. Mmm. 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 They don't want to be my friend. Mike said, at Jerry Welcome. Jerry said, I grew up in the 60s cowboy in me, but just the TV ones. Paul's Handyman said, you sound like me with a hat, Ray. You hardly ever see me without my hat. Jerry said, the kingdom is within you. You first, the world can just go. Edward said, good morning, Ray and the gang. Good morning, Edward. Paul said, good morning, Edward and Jerry. Jerry said, my beard's white and screams old. Yeah, mine's getting there. My beard is definitely, it's getting a lot of gray in it. In fact, I'm doing a project right now with my AI, like a side project, where it's pretty cool, actually. It's currently, as we speak, it has downloaded all of my footage from YouTube. It's made a big old giant database, downloaded all of my YouTube footage, and it's chopping it into, as we speak, like while we're hiking right now. And this is going to take, this ran all night, and it's still going to take about another 6 hours before it finishes. but it's chopping up all of my videos into 1-minute segments, submitting those 1-minute segments up to the same Google AI that I use for the project estimator tool on the website, because that AI is really good at analyzing video. So it's uploading to that and then asking it this big giant prompt to talk about what I'm doing, where I'm at, what position I'm in, what types of clothes I'm wearing, what angle you can see my face from, what tools I'm holding, what brand of those tools are, what type of work. Oh, look at this, these ants. What type of work specifically I'm doing. Really, really huge, long prompt. And what we're going to be able to do with it, I tested this yesterday on just one video to make sure that the whole pipeline works. But essentially, oh, and then I'll be running it through ChatGPT. Has an embedding service that's pretty cheap and pretty awesome. So I'll be running it through and getting a bunch of embeddings done on it. And then what I'll be able to do is when I'm making a video, let's say I want, because I'm going to want this today actually for a video I'm doing. This is why I came up with this whole thing. Oh, neat. Oh man, look at these guys. Hold on. Look at this. This is a really nice property. Oh, they have this patio back here. It's got a porta potty. I see a pizza oven. I see a fireplace. I see a smoker. I see a bar. That's a nice place right there. Anyhow, so it organizes all these videos. I'm running it through a cheap model right now to get an initial start, but then we are going to use the cheap model's output to decide which videos are interesting enough to go ahead and run through a bigger, better model. And what I'll be able to do is, while I'm editing, if I need, let's say, some footage of me putting in a pop-up stopper in a bathroom, then I'll just be able to use a little dashboard that I built and type in, you know, show me Ray putting in a pop-up stopper, and it'll go find all of those videos where I'm messing with a pop-up stopper, and it'll clip, because we have word level time-stamped transcripts from all of my videos already as well. So it'll be able to go and use all of this to understand what's happening in my videos. And when I say go get me a clip of me installing a pop-up stopper, it'll just go grab like 5 of them and bring them back, and I can drop them right into the video and have my B-roll to show on my video, which is pretty cool. However, I did forget how I got into all that. I actually started out saying something else, and then, as usual, got excited talking about an AI project. Oh, it's because Paul's Handyman said my beard's getting white. Well, actually, Jerry was talking about a white beard. Paul's Handyman followed that up with his too. While I was doing that whole project, I stumbled upon a live stream that I did 3 years ago, and my beard didn't have all this white in it. So that's a lot of white has happened into my beard in a very short period of time, which I don't mind at all. I really have to say, the older I get, the more I like getting older, if that makes any sense. I like the way I look. I like the way I think. I like most of the things about me more the older I get than I did when I was younger. Got some nice properties down this little road here. I had no idea. I've never walked down this road or driven down it. Haven't had any need to. Paul said, we have cows around my place. If I walk along the fence, they just look at me and run off if I approach the fence. Paul said, I find it hilarious. Jerry said, YouTube beard coloring challenge, who's in? Lena said, you got kids. I do got kids. I have a grown son. He's not biologically mine, unfortunately, but he's mine. He doesn't talk to me anymore, but Someday he will, maybe. Someday he won't. He's a grown man. He can decide that. And then I have a 10-year-old named Silas. I'm also not lucky enough to be able to call him biologically mine, but he's, boy, let me tell you something. That boy's 100% me, regardless of biology. He's amazing. And he's going to be a handyman someday. Although, you know, handyman for me kind of just means problem solver. So whatever it is he ends up doing, whether it's fixing bathroom pop-up stoppers or solving some problem in science or engineering or solving the problem of the world needing more good dads, whatever problems he solves, he's a little problem solver. And then I have 4, well, they're going to be 5 really soon. I have 4.5-year-old identical twins, Austin and Beauregard. The 10-year-old is Silas, and the grown one is Aaron. Gonna have to stop and pull these socks up again. Look at that truck. I like that. I could do something with that. So, yep, I got kids. To me, that's what life's about. As a wise man, Jordan Peterson, once said, nobody who has kids bothers asking what the meaning of life is because they already know. And I find that to be pretty damn true. It's not necessarily true of everybody. It's not true that nobody asks that question once they have kids. It's unfortunate that there are people who still need to ask that question after having kids because they just don't seem to understand that that is at least their purpose. That's their meaning. It should be. You shouldn't be having them if you don't view them that way. But to me, that's the purpose of life. That's the meaning of life. That's the missing piece that just brings the whole puzzle together and makes it so that you can, like I said, stop asking the question. You don't need to ask the question anymore once you have them. Another nice horse property. A lot of horse oh, that's a big one too. It goes way back there. I'm gonna have a bigger property like this someday, if not much, much, much bigger, honestly. I would really like to have, I'd like my acreage to be measured in the hundreds. Don't get me wrong, I'd like my acreage to be measured in the thousands, but I'm trying to be reasonable here with what I think I can accomplish without taking too much from my family to get it. And I think what I can accomplish without taking too much from them, I can accomplish hundreds of acres. Thousands, it'd have to be shitty acreage, or I'd have to take too much from my family to gather the resources I would need for that. Well, that's gonna be fun. Stop and pull my socks up again here in a minute. If I can find somewhere to put my phone down at. All kinds of junk in here. Let's go around. Actually, first we'll just come over here so I can get my socks up. We need to do that first. I don't want to rip my calves up today. I did a lot of boot breaking in yesterday already. Right here, I don't know if y'all can see, but the tongues right there will rub on your calves. After just a couple days, you just callus up, or at least I just callus up real good after a couple days. But for the first few days, you gotta hike some socks up. Mad Matt said I was thinking about only focusing on move-outs. Do you think that's sustainable and as profitable as other handyman work? Yeah, man, I think that's, if I was really focused on niching down, I think move outs are a great thing to niche down to, honestly. And for me, move outs are one of the most profitable things I do. There's a lot of efficiency to be had. Now, I'll tell you, you know, they're not as profitable if you don't have things like inventory and systems and processes and stuff. It's not nearly as profitable. But if you do have speed, if you've thought everything through and you've got your kits and you've got your inventory and you're certain you've got all your tools and stuff. Is this rosemary? Oh, maybe not. No. But it is. Whatever it is, it's a spice. It's got that smell like something that would come out of the spice cabinet. Yeah, move outs are very profitable. And I'll tell you what, if YouTube were to cancel me tomorrow, and I just had to go back to only running a handyman business and nothing more, if I was going to be the one, you know, picking up the tools and doing all the work and driving all over town, I think I would actually rather quickly try to get myself into a position where all I do is move outs. I think I would try to, I'd start approaching a lot of property management companies and pitching myself to them as a move out only guy. And when I got enough of them, I would tell my current clients, hey, from now on, I'm only doing move outs unless it's an emergency. I love move outs, they're the best. Mike said, I think so. The hardest part will be getting enough of them to keep filling out the work week. Yep. Just gotta have enough of them. So today's the 13th, which means tomorrow is the Replit website builder webinar. If you guys don't know, you can get a free website by, well, go to bulletproofhandyman.com and register and you'll sort of enter the pipeline. But go to bulletproofhandyman.com, register for the Replit website builder webinar, which will be tomorrow, and you'll get an email with a link and an access code to a special page on my website, like a hidden page basically, that will allow you to upload a whole bunch of photos and logos, ask you a bunch of questions. You'll do a bunch of Q&A, and once you get that, that's the intake form. Once you get that all filled out and completed, you'll be ready for your prompt, which I build for you. And by I mean my AI builds it for you in a particular way that I've instructed my AI to build it for you. You come to the webinar tomorrow and you get your, preferably before you show up, you get your Replit account set up. You can do it when you show up too, it only takes a minute, but you start your account with Replit. I've got a code for you for a free month, which is more than enough for you to build your entire website. So you take my free month code, you put it in, you take my prompt. You don't have to know how to talk to an AI or how to prompt it. You're just gonna take my prompt that I give you and just drag and drop it straight over into Replit. Replit will then pull all of your photos and logos and stuff you uploaded, which are currently gonna be sitting on my server. It's gonna go pull all of them, and it's going to follow a long, complex chain, and it's going to build you your own website. And if you want to host it on Replit, you can. And if you want to just download your entire code base and take it with you and have some other place host it, you can also do that. You're not locked into Replit, so you can and will have a full free website within like 20 minutes of when we start. Tested this with 2 people now. It worked really well on both of them, gave them good websites. And you'll be published. You'll have your handyman website up and running and published for free tomorrow. And then, like I said, if you want to host it on Replit, you can. It's like $20, $25 a month. Basically nothing. Plus, you get access to keep editing it using Replit by just talking to the AI and just saying, hey, can you add this, subtract this, move this over, you know, can we do this feature, can we do that feature? Pretty easy stuff. Now, I came and I actually pulled a bunch of blue bonnets over here for Emily about a month ago. And I want to see if the plants are still upright with seeds. Because I was going to come back. My plan was to come back afterwards and get the blue bonnet seeds. I just got to see if I can find them or if they've already sort of been trampled or fallen over. Now, this doesn't look like the place to be for picking flowers for your wife, but it was. And they were big, huge ones. These, well, I don't really know what they look like after they're, I think this is it. Yeah. This is blue bonnet right here. And there are tons of seeds. So I'm going to take this route again, but next time I'm going to bring a container and pull all these blue bonnet seeds. Beautiful. Beautiful. So bulletproofhandyman.com if you want to sign up for that Replit webinar. And you know, once this Replit webinar goes well, you know what? I'm going to pop on over to the other side just to get further away from the highway. Once the Replit webinar goes well and I prove it out on like a handful more people, I'm just going to automate it on my website so that we don't really need webinars. I'll still do webinars for the people who just want to show up and maybe get a hand with how to talk to their AI or whatever, but I'll just automate the whole thing so that you can just click a button that says build my website, take you into your intake form. When you finish your intake form, it'll just send you an email with instructions, you know, and your link and stuff. And you can just go through the whole, you don't need me really for the process. I've done all the hard work by setting up the intake form and the initial prompt. And then after that, you know, once you drop that initial prompt in and get your website out, after that, it's just you know, talking to an AI in plain English, just saying, hey, here's what I want. Can you do it? And I think you'll find most of the time it's going to say, yeah, I can do it. Paul's Handyman said with move outs, it's just you and the work. I'd love to be able to do that. That's what I like too, man. I put my music on. I can sing all day. I can't sing worth a shit, but I will anyways in a vacant property. Christopher said, am I going to need any camping equipment in Bonham? No, sir. You won't need any camping equipment. Now, if you have any commercial, doesn't even have to be commercial, but if you have any large cooking equipment that you don't mind bringing, we may or may not need some of that. And there are some other guys bringing some stuff. I don't really know who's bringing what. I'm not trying to make it the most organized thing in the world, but I can't fly across the country with a commercial kitchen in my backpack. So I'm asking y'all to bring whatever you have. Could be just like a really large spatula that I can use on the 2-foot griddle, or a large pot. I think a few guys are bringing some large pots already and some large pans, but if you have anything, you know, what am I trying to say? Tongs, ladles, just whatever. If you have anything that seems like it would be good for cooking with, please bring that. But whatever you don't bring, like whatever doesn't show up naturally on its own, I'll just run down the road to Goodwill, you know, and buy what I need from a Goodwill used for 20 or 30 bucks. But no, you don't need any camping gear. You'll be on bunks in a bunkhouse. So you'll be on bunks, which means you will need sheets and blankets or sleeping bag or whatever, pillow. There won't be any bedding provided, but there will be a bed provided. Speaking of that, I'll talk about that event in just a minute. Matt said, looks like Slender Man walking. Mike said, my ear is a little tough for property managers. There's only 2 big ones and they both have in-house workers, so I only see 1 to 3 move-outs a month. Paul's Handyman said, that's no good. Matthew said, does everyone... Hold on. I'm text messaging Emily. I may or may not have to go home early, but I'm going to see if she can take the boys with her to go run an errand this morning. There we go. She said yes. All right. Matthew said, does anyone handle appliance repairs or pass? 1 p.m. has only sent appliance repairs as her other handyman won't work on them. Yeah, I won't answer for everybody. I don't like doing them. I'm not great at them. And also just the money that I need to charge. You know, let's say you show up and it's a dishwasher and it needs a new circuit board. You know, first of all, just the cost to replace a circuit board in a dishwasher, especially for a rental that's probably got a cheap dishwasher, it's just barely, oh, look at these. Distracted again. Not much of a smell to them though. You know, the cost of the circuit board's going to be a couple $100 half the time with shipping. You've got to make a trip to diagnose and a trip to repair. That assumes everything works when you're all said and done. And for the same cost, you could have just given them a new dishwasher. So I will take appliance repair jobs. But before I ever go to the property, I always make sure that the property manager acknowledges that I've said my advice, if there's an issue, is just to replace the damn appliance, unless it's an expensive one. But assuming it's an older, shittier one and a rental, my advice for most things is just replace the damn appliance right off the bat. Don't even bother spending hundreds of dollars troubleshooting something that may end up getting replaced anyways, and that even if it does get repaired for less than the cost of a replacement, it's clearly old enough already that it's starting to break, and it's just going to break again, and it just makes more sense to replace it. That's how I feel about it. Paul's Handyman said he doesn't do appliances. Mind-controlled sheepy said, I've replaced appliances, but I wouldn't repair them. Paul's Handyman said, yeah, I'll replace them as well. The extent of what I do appliance-wise. Hold on. I have to check this message again. All right, here we go. Mike said, Freestone, I did a lot of them for my first 2 years, but this year I'm dropping that service, not because I can't, but because it's just a bit of a headache. And that's how I feel. It just frequently becomes a bit of a headache. Matthew said, gotcha, yeah, they can be a headache. I've had some appliance repair experience and diagnosed and repaired what has been sent, but I'm not quick at it. Exactly. Edward said, I'm bringing a handful of large pots, cookie sheets, cast iron skillet, and Dutch oven, and a decent set of utensils as well. That's amazing. Thank you, sir. YouTube Sucks said, looks like Arizona. It sure is. Mike said, my experience is most of the time it's going to take, where'd we go? Going to take a week for the part to come in, so that means a return trip. Exactly. I like to get in and be done with the job. Me too. Edward said, we've done both repairs and replacements. If it's a higher end appliance, we'll repair if possible. If a cheap rental appliance, if a cheap rental appliance besides ice makers, we replace. Christopher said, I'll repair appliances if it's something small and doesn't cost much. Otherwise, it's cheaper to replace. Last appliance I looked at was a dryer that had a broken spider. It was cheaper to replace the unit. And Edward said, I had a $2,800 built-in fridge with a control board that failed. We replaced the control board for $900, better than $2,800 for the homeowner. Yeah, and that's where the difference is. If it's an expensive appliance, it's often better to repair. Or if it's a high quality, you know, if it's an Electrolux, which is expensive, but it's also high quality in such a way that, you know, the random thing that breaks may not be an indication that it's about to start breaking all the time. And as far as Chris was just asking about bringing camping gear to the camp out, and Edward's bringing some cooking stuff, which is awesome. We do have a camp out. It's not a camp out, I call them all camp outs, but we have a Texas bunkhouse retreat April 16th through 19th at Bonham State Park in Texas, just northeast of Dallas. This is a free handyman retreat. It's a Thursday through a Sunday. It's free, lodging and meals provided. All you got to do is get yourself there, and you can sign up for it at bulletproofhandyman.com. You can get registered. But this is just our networking weekend. This is our time to just hang out with people that do what we do and share experiences and learn from them. These, I say all the time, I know it sounds kind of gay to say it, but these are magical events that we do. And everybody seems to walk away reinvigorated and kind of like ready to really dive back in and start some new projects and just, you know, build something of their business. That seems to be the general theme when people leave these events, is that they want to go and really make their business better, and they're usually going home with some idea as to how they're going to do that. But they're great events. We've got 94 bunks. I limited it to 60 people that could sign up, and even out of limiting it to 60 people, we've only got about 50 people signed up. A handful of them have already told me that they're not going to be able to make it, which is understandable. There's just things come up for different reasons, and sometimes people just can't make it. So I'm expecting about, you know, probably mid-30s. I'm guessing low to mid-30s in terms of the number of people, which is going to be cool because that's a small enough number for everybody to really get to know each other over the course of the few days. But that whole event, the reason we're able to pull that off is because of ERGO NEXT insurance. They've sponsored the whole damn thing. They do business, you know, small business liability insurance, among other types of insurance. So ERGO NEXT Insurance is a huge supporter of this entire YouTube channel. They love this community. They love what you guys do. And the way you can thank them, they've sponsored a bunch of these, by the way. This isn't the first one. And the way you can thank them for that and convince them to continue sponsoring these so we can keep going around the country and doing this all over the place is simply to just go get a quote. You don't even need to buy it, right? If you got a business or you're about to have your business, just go get your quote from them. And that lets them know that their sponsorship of this channel does bring something back to them. Because I can tell you for sure, they're not getting a real ROI from what they're doing with us. They're not. The amount of money they spend to host this camp out is, they're not going to make that much back. I know that for sure. Here I go again on my own. This is pretty down there. I think we should go check that out. It's not our final destination. Oh, and then, hold on, let me make sure I'm not popping into some homeless encampments, which kind of looks like a little bit over here. We're doing another one of those events similar to the Texas one. We're gonna do one in Colorado. You can't sign up for it yet because I haven't picked the venue, but that'll be after this event is when I'll pick the venue and stuff. But the one in Colorado, very similar type of situation. It'll be a Thursday. I don't really want to go through all that. It'll be a Thursday through a Sunday. So the same time frame. Probably the same number of people, possibly less though. I may make that one something like cap it into the 20s and get a slightly nicer place to stay in. You never know. But that one is sponsored by 𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗡𝗧𝗏, QUO, formerly Open Phone. They are an app-based VoIP phone that lives on your personal phone. So instead of having to buy a business phone for your business, you get your business phone installed on your personal phone via app, via a VoIP. And that becomes your business phone. And 𝗘𝗦𝗦 specifically will take you through the 10 DLC process to get the approval to be able to text your clients from your business phone. That's always one of the headaches with a business phone, is they have so many regulations these days because of spam. They're trying to stop the spam, so you do have to go in and fill out some paperwork and say what your business is, what types of text messages you're going to be sending. You have to give, you have to tell them how you're going to, what's the word? How you're going to get consent, essentially, from the clients to be texting them. But it's all really easy, and that's the point, is 𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗧 takes you through that process and actually makes that process easy for you. So, link in the description for ERGO NEXT Insurance. Link in the description for 𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗧. Both of those, you can just go check them out and say hi and say, hey, looks like you're not the right product for me right at this moment, but I wanted to show up and take a look at it because you sponsored that camp out with the Bulletproof Handyman, and I want you to keep doing that, and I want you to know that if and when I'm ready and need this product, I'll be back here. And that's how we get them to keep on doing it. I don't really know which way I want to walk here. Mike said, I really enjoyed the campouts. I miss waking up, getting a cup of coffee, and having a whole day to just relax and enjoy the people there. Also staying up till 3 a.m. sharing stories and advice. Roy said, how many snakes out there? I don't know. A lot, probably. Glenn said, separate SIM, simple, pay no one. Don't really know what you're saying, but I don't have a... Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. If you can get a separate SIM, that is an absolutely perfect way to go. If you know how to do that, want to do that, find that to be a convenient and correct way to do it, absolutely. This is right where I would expect to find some javelina. Seems like most of the time if I stumble upon javelina in Arizona, if I'm the one that surprises them, it's usually because I'm coming down a wash like this. Edward said, my phone is dual SIM capable, but is still a pain in the ass when I did it that way. It mucked up my personal photos versus work photos. Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's like when my buddy Chris comes and tells me about things I could or should do on my computer, which, I mean, now with the help of AI, you know, I'm doing a lot more, but for most of my life, it was, for most of my life, it was kind of absurd. He'd come and just start throwing around all of these acronyms and telling me what I should be doing to fix whatever problem. And I'm just like, man, you know, that requires me to be smart, right? You realize I'm not smart. So everything you're saying to me sounds like gibberish, and I don't know how to do that. And honestly, I'd rather just pay somebody $30 than to spend 2.5 days trying to figure out how to rig something up to work in a way that it wasn't rigged up to work initially. But that's just me. I'm not smart. If you're smart, get a second sim, I guess. Just make sure you know how to do it. All right, we're getting closer. Oh, am I gonna have to come all the way to the highway? I feel like I am, because this is just gonna get too packed, especially with this cat claw. This stuff will just grab you when you walk by. We'll keep trying. We're going to that hill. If y'all can see that hill right there, that's all BLM, Bureau of Land Management. In fact, you can camp. You can't really see through all these trees, but you can camp over here by that hill for free. It's like dispersed camping. So I think a lot of people who, I don't know if they're necessarily call them homeless. Some of them are people who chose to just live out of a camper. Some of them are people who fell on hard times and, you know, this was their last resort. But if you need to live out of a camper permanently, there's places like this on the other side of the highway here on the BLM land where you can legally do open, what they call dispersed camping, for 2-week stretches. And then you got to move somewhere else. But as long as you keep moving every 2 weeks, you can just keep on living in your camper on public land for free. Which I think is a cool thing, because, you know, the reason we call it public land is because it's owned by the public. Personally, I'm not sure how I would feel about opening up all public lands, like all national parks, national forests, conservation areas, etc., literally every square inch of land that isn't privately owned. I don't know that you can open up all of that, but I tell you what, I do feel like, for the most part, if it's national forest or national park, either one of those two, dispersed camping should be just like a foregone conclusion. You shouldn't be able to, like, leave. Oh, I'm on the wrong side of a fence now. All right, there's our hill right there. But, you know, I mean, I don't want people, of course, pulling their camper up next to Old Faithful at Yellowstone and just parking their camper right next to Old Faithful and saying, this is public, so I'm just going to live here because you can't stop me. I don't want that. But I do think most public land should be available for most of the public to use most of the time. Just got to find a way through this fence now, and then we'll go across the highway. Try not to get killed while we do it. Crawl under right there. I'll bet you that'd be the easiest, but I'm gonna go down a little further, see what I find. Christopher said, I just have 2 phones. You can write off your phones every year anyways. Mike said, I have brainstorming other ways to drum up work. An idea I had is to reach out to self-storage units. We have a lot in my area. I'm not sure what all I can help with. Doors and locks mainly. I actually, when I first started my business, I used to get a lot of work from some company. It was one of those ones where everybody who deals with you on the phone has an Indian accent and wants to negotiate all of your pricing. But this particular company, actually, they paid a $125 trip fee for me to go remove these, what do you call them? I was removing these large commercial handles that had a keypad on them and replacing them with just pass-throughs that didn't require any key at all. There we go. I was removing and replacing those for $125 each, and it was quick, easy work, and it was at self-storage places all over Tucson, and it was probably like 2 or 3 of them a week. So, you know, for me, just now starting out as a brand new handyman, having that extra income of just, you know, $375 a week if I did 3 of them, that was good. Like, that was really good for me. Edward said, but now we have 5 company phones, 3 tablets, 2 laptops, and a desktop, so the days of having to worry about use personal or buy a company phone are long gone. Curse of the Fallen said, with rising cost of housing, there's going to be a lot more of that. Yeah, there is a lot more of it. I've watched it grow in the last, actually, since I started my handyman business. It started around COVID. You know, I think a lot of people were just trying to get away from people, but it started around COVID. And it's really only grown since. Edward said, I agree. We just bought vacant land, and if things keep going the way they are, we'll be relocating out there in a 5th wheel while we build. Curse of the Fallen said, if a lock takes more than about a minute before you can pick it, a pretty successful lock. Yeah. Any of y'all into picking locks? I've got a lock picking set. I've practiced a little bit. I'll tell you this, you know, I'm not, for sure, I'm definitely not any kind of expert at that. But I'll tell you what, if it's just a regular, you know, front door with a keyed entry, I have no problem getting through one of those. There have even been times where they sent me work orders to go cut locks off, and they wanted them cut off because there was no key, so they just assumed that I needed to just cut the whole thing off and replace it. And I'm just like, well, do you want me to just, you know, if I can get it to open, then do you want me to just replace it instead of cutting it off? And pretty much every time I can get it open. All right. Hopefully the sheriff don't drive by. I don't think you're really supposed to be walking in the median. But I gotta wait for everybody to pass. Go. All right. Yeah, hard to see, but that's all BLM out there. You can see the campers and the vans and stuff. Sweet. We made it all the way to the hill. Paul's Handyman said, I used to be, never got any good at it. Mike said, I've been wanting to get a set of picks. And Curse of the Fallen said, with. Mike said, if for nothing else, personal use. Yeah, for me, that's another one of those skills that I think is probably going to be good to have after everything collapses. Y'all know me, I don't really view the world as if everything collapses. I just view as when. So since I'm always trying to get prepared for that, I figured probably not a bad idea to get some lockpick and stuff, practice with it a little bit, so at the very least I can just quickly and easily get through some basic locks. There's also a kit you can order, by the way. I haven't ordered it. I need to go find it. I wouldn't even know where to look now, other than to just kind of Google it, but there is a kit you can buy. And this kit has, you know, there's all sorts of things in the commercial and industrial world that take really uniform keys. Like if you've ever seen a spigot on the side of like a Circle K or something, and the spigot doesn't have a normal handle on top. There's a key that you use to turn that spigot on and off. Oh, look at this. Is that... It is a rock. Look at all that pink inside that limestone. I thought it was cement for a second. But, you know, and different tractors and Caterpillar equipment and forklifts and other types of lifts and, you know, gas valves and water valves. There's so many different things. Oh, look, there's got to be so much cave on this hill. That's the main reason I've always been so interested in this hill. Just because I used to be a caver. But you can buy these, like a key ring that comes with like, you know, 50 different keys on it. They don't look like the kind of keys you're thinking of. They're keys, like they're things that unlock things that are shaped on all sorts of different varieties of shapes. So that, you know, in a pinch, if there's a tractor and you need the tractor, it's not your tractor, but maybe the world's kind of ended and it's not anybody's tractor anymore. You can access the tractor, or you can turn on the spigot. You can start up the forklift, do any number of things. 𝗕𝗏𝗫𝗬𝗪? Well, we did make it over here to the BLM land. I don't know what that little chain fence thing is for. There's beautiful southern Arizona. I hate how much I hate this place and yet how beautiful it is. If it could just be uglier, it'd be a lot easier to hate it. Paul said, why do you hate Arizona again? Well, for starters, it's not Texas. And aside from not being Texas, it's really, really hot here. Like, it's absurdly hot and dry. And it just doesn't make sense to me that any peoples ever decided that this would be a good place to sort of permanently inhabit and build a city around. I think the bigger thing is I never chose Arizona. I never chose Tucson. The military chose to send me here. And every time I've ever tried to really leave in any significant way, every time I try to leave, a woman sucks me back in. And then this woman, the last one that sucked me back in, ended up having my kids. So now I'm all in love and happy and fulfilled and content with purpose and meaning in my life, so I really can't leave. Well, eventually we'll come to a place where we can get through this fence easily. I really don't care to rip my shirt on some barbed wire at the moment, so I'm just gonna wait until I find a nice, easy spot. Probably, oh, here we go. Right there. Patience, a grasshopper. Paul said, doesn't Texas get hot? It does, but it's Texas. So there's a big difference. Tucson gets hot and it's not Texas. While, although Texas does get hot, it has the benefit of being Texas. And I just kind of like Texas. Paul said, oh wait, where are we at? Apex, hey, what's going on? Good morning, Apex property experts. Paul's Handyman said, I'm glad you're content and fulfilled despite living in Arizona. I'm making it work, man. I'm making it work. As long as I'm stuck here, really, it is. I don't know how I... Look at that. Look at it. Would you just look at it, would you? Look, it's just... It's really gorgeous. Almost in a mysterious way. But if you want to talk about places feeling magical, although this place does feel like a teeny tiny bit magical, you got to go to Australia or Afghanistan. Either of those two places, they have their own version of magical in the air. But tell you what, it's very, very real. They are magical. I can guarantee you guys there is some beautiful cavern slash cave inside this hill, and I have never had enough time. I've walked this hill a handful of times with my old caving buddy. I've never had enough time to really truly exhaust it and make sure I'm not missing anything, but I think where I'm taking you to right now is absolutely a cave entrance, or was, just needs to be dug out. But this is where we'll also get to see those metates, where they ground the corn. And what a view too, man. Imagine being a native and you're up on your hill and this is your view out there. Of course, but without roads and stuff. Beautiful. See, I'm a caver. When you see things like this in the rock, and when you see the rock all pitted, this is a karst. Is it K-H? K-H-A-R-S-T? Could just be K-A. But this is a karst landscape right here. And this is where I know there's a cave down there. Because see how it goes down all of a sudden into here and into here? See how this is kind of rounded out? Oops. Even that. This can be dug out. This all goes down into cave here. I can promise you that. It probably collapsed, and it wouldn't be surprising if it collapsed with people inside it, because they probably would have spent a lot of time inside it. See that? That's how you know this whole hill looks just like this on the inside. Guarantee you. Now let's find those metates. Oh, look, here we go. See that? You would use a post. These aren't the ones where you grind back and forth with a rock like that. These are the ones where you hammer down with a post. And imagine how long these must have been used. Beautiful. See, that goes up to there. Just gorgeous. And there's more around here. I can't remember where all of them are. Me and my buddy John have found, I'd say about a dozen if you just walk all along this whole area. All right, so I don't know. Let's just keep walking. Just see what we run up. Oh, look, here we go. There's another one here. See that? There could be more, you know, just right there. That's just under the gravel. You're not going to be able to see all of them all the time. Now the question is, up or down? Tell you what, I'm going to go, let's go up. Paul's Handyman said, all you can do, take the lemons life gives and make lemonade. Yes, sir. Paul's Handyman said, if you like caves, then you should go to southern Missouri. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. And Paul's Handyman said, that's awesome. Yeah, southern Missouri's. Indiana is a great place for caves. Tennessee is a great place for caves. But believe it or not, Arizona is a great place for caves. We have some of the most world-renowned caves here. Robert said, I started last night going through the steps to get my business started, stepping into the arena. Outstanding, sir. Do not hesitate to email me anytime you need. And FYI, these live streams, it feels like a lot of guys think that maybe they shouldn't use the live stream to ask handyman questions, but that's actually exactly what these are for. They're for a lot of reasons, I guess. They're not just for that. But these are absolutely your opportunity to just ask away. And not only do you have me here to answer your questions, but you've got a whole community of guys who are currently running successful handyman businesses in here as well. Probably shouldn't be doing this very, very, very gravelly, slippery terrain in my new boots. Ow. Oh, there we go. Those trees have thorns. A lot easier to slip and fall and lose your balance in the new boots before your brain kind of remaps what your stepping surface looks like or is shaped like. See, you can see all the other people living in their campers. I mean, some of them might just be camping too. You never know. Not everybody down here is living. KS Porch said, this is Ken, grew up in, I'm going to start calling you Ken. I'm going to remember that. Ken grew up in Branson, Missouri, and we used to crawl through some little holes that turned into huge caverns. They're all over around here. Yep. Paul said, that reminds me, Ray, have you looked at the packets I sent? I have not, I don't think. Bump it up to the top of my inbox if you don't mind. If you can just do a reply or a resend or forward to just bump it back up to the top. Paul's Handyman said, I'm a few hours north of you. Oh, cool. Are you, you know, we have a camp out May 2nd. I don't know if you're able to make it, but if you are able to make it, having a Founders and Fathers camp out May 2nd that you ought to try to make it to. And I'm going to be doing more and more outdoor events like that down here in Tucson for the local community. And also, if you ever just make it down to Tucson, feel free to look me up and just reach out and see if we can have lunch or something. Whew. Paul's Handyman said, I'm a few hours north of Ken. Oh, where's Ken at? I forget. Oh, a few hours north. Oh, never mind. Of Ken. I see what's going on. I thought you meant me. Hour east of Kansas City. Right on. This is getting not too steep, but still a little steep. See right here where these meet. This is where cave ends up. Is where you have two different limestones that meet each other, just like that. You get what's called galvanic corrosion meaning each different type of limestone has its own slightly different, what's the word? Charge? Yeah, I was gonna say electrical properties. Slightly different charge, like just natural charge to it as it exists in nature. And when those two touch each other with their slightly different charges, it causes corrosion, which ultimately eats out the limestone and gives you a cave after enough time. Coming down a little lower here. Huh. Maybe a little higher again. Pulsar, howdy. In Turkey, huh? Natasha's back. What's up, Natasha? Said looks like a good place for rattlesnakes to live. You're very brave. Oh, I think the rattlesnakes are just everywhere here. So I don't think about them too much. In fact, the only time I do think about them is if I get excited at the prospect of seeing one, because as much as I spend time in the outdoors, I don't feel like I get an equivalent amount of wild animal sighting. I remember once in the Air Force, this dude showed up, brand new to our shop. I was in the wilderness all the time, wanted to see bears and wolves and all kinds of stuff. I was always in the wilderness, hadn't seen any bears or wolves or anything yet. And this guy shows up to my shop. He shows up like Tuesday. And then that first weekend, his first weekend here in Arizona, heads up Mount Lemmon and gets like this long videotape recording of two bears just like playing and hanging out and having fun up on the mountain. So I'm up there all the time, you know, looking. He's just going up there like blaring his music, oblivious to everything, and he gets to see two bears playing. Here we go. Look at that. Did some mining over here. All Bureau of Land Management. What time is it? 7:07. Istanbul, Constantinople. Nice. I have been, dude, the Istanbul airport is gigantic. And I don't know about today, but when I was flying through there, I've flown through that airport 5 or 6 times. And I tell you what, when I've driven through or flown through the Istanbul airport, they did not have a lot of things set up. Oh, this is going to be fun. They did not have a lot set up for people who only speak English. So, and you know, there wasn't AI to just quickly translate for you either. So it actually took quite a bit of effort to figure out quickly where you needed to be going. However, you could literally smoke in the airport, like openly, not even in a smoking area or a smoking room. You could just sit down at a, you know, like a little burger joint or whatever, and just sit there and have a cigarette right there in the open air. Everybody did. That's just what it was. They stopped that while I was still going through. It went from smoke anywhere to smoke nowhere. But it's a cool airport. They detained me and questioned me once because I had some books about Islam, literally just to learn. Like I had 3 books that I had bought. I can't remember if I bought them in that airport or in a different airport or right before I left Germany, but I just had these books on Islam, trying to educate myself. And they were like hand checking luggage, and those 3 books were in there, and they kept questioning. And you know, maybe it was something about the content of the books, because I don't really know. I didn't know at the time what the content really was of each book and why it mattered. But they pulled me into a separate room and questioned me for a while as to why I had those books. And I'm like, to learn. That's literally the only reason. I'm like, I'm living and working in Afghanistan, and there are like jihadi movements at that time all over the place. It was a topic of the day, and I wanted to be educated on it. But that was a big ass airport. Mike said there's a fine line between brave and dumb. That's really true. And oftentimes that line is dictated in hindsight. If nothing bad happened and you succeeded, it was brave. And if something bad happened in hindsight, that was a very dumb decision. And really, it's the do the ends justify the means. Paul's Handyman said, right. Paul's Handyman said, Mike Neal, where in Missouri are you from? Pulsar said, Little Engels, I don't know. Pulsar said, Turkey, very old country, one of the oldest in the world. Istanbul's one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the entire world. So is Baghdad. So is, oh God, what's the other one I was thinking of? It's a particular city in Ethiopia, whose name I just can't remember right now. Is also, Ethiopia itself is one of the, quite literally, damn near the cradle of civilization right there. So there's a lot to be said for that. Paul's Handyman said, I believe is an old country, and Paul said Lake of the Ozarks. Or Mike said, Paul, Lake of the Ozarks. Oaksarks. Gonna make it all the way around this hill and then head home, I suppose. However, we'll just head home a different route. So we're still exploring a little bit. Which way? Go this way. We'll go mid-hill. Oh, the smell of the lake. Growing up in Texas, we were at lakes all the time. My hometown has three river legs through it. It's like the upper, lower, and middle Concho. And we have 3 lakes that literally touch the city limits. You literally don't have to leave the city limits to get to 3 different lakes, plus all the river. So for me, it was a huge shock. It's one of those things when I joke about hating Arizona, you know, back home, god dang, 2017, I was trying to move back home. And in 2017, the summer I was trying to move back, I made multiple trips all summer long with a big flatbed trailer, hauling everything I own back to Texas. And what I really ended up doing was I'd come back here to Tucson for a week or 2, and I'd work on my house, remodeling it, getting it ready to sell, and then load up a trailer, take a trailer load back. And the idea was always to drop the trailer load and come back to Tucson so I can finish remodeling and sell my house. But what I kept doing was hanging out in Texas for 2 weeks, fishing, just, you know, everybody had a job, so nobody was available during the day. So I just go fish every day, all over, in a different place every single day, never the same place twice. And I just kind of spent half that summer fishing. And then I'd come back here just long enough to work on my house, pack up another trailer, head back to Texas, and then once again, just fishing. Non-stop fishing. So that is actually one of the true answers to why I don't like Arizona, is I miss water. I miss hunting. Back in Texas, again, man, if you have land to hunt on, whether it's public land, which there's plenty of, or if you pay for a lease to hunt somebody else's land, in Texas, you just go buy your hunting license. I don't know what it costs these days. Things change, but my last recollection is you go buy a hunting license for less than $100, maybe a little more than 100, I don't know. And you get 4 tags for deer most years, 2 buck and 2 doe, just about every year. And you can fill those tags without any hassle. You don't have, here in Arizona, you have to literally apply for like a lottery system. And every so many years you might get drawn. And if you get drawn, if you win that lottery, it doesn't mean you get to take 1 deer this year. You don't even get to take your time and get 1 deer. It means you get a specific sex of a specific breed in a specific geographically bounded area that you can't hunt outside of during a specific like 2-week block of time or 1-month block of time, whatever it is. It's bounded geographically by sex, by breed, and by time. So you basically get the opportunity to apply for a lottery ticket to maybe get to go have a teeny tiny chance of actually getting something. And that is a world different from Texas, where you go get your combo license for like $130 or whatever, and it's hunting and fishing. It's for migratory birds, it's for turkey, it's for deer, it's for everything. You can do everything, hunt everything statewide. And it's just much better. And that's one of the things I miss. Paul's Handyman said, "Where are you at now, Mike?" Mike said, "Central Virginia." Paul's Handyman said, "I used to go to 𝗕𝗄𝗃 every summer as a kid. What took you out there?" And Mike said, "A big part of my family was here. I just wanted to be somewhere new." Oops. Looks like we're gonna have to walk around someone's campsite. Just come up above them. Ooh, what's up there? Either a mine or a cave. One of the two. Tell you what, anytime somebody goes through all the additional effort to fill something in like this, you have to wonder why they would bother filling it in. That takes time and effort and money. Oh, also, yep, see that edge right there? That's something you find in and around cave all the time. So I'm guessing somebody filled in a cave entrance here. Paul said, "Oh, I gotcha. Used to want to leave. Only reason I'm still out of Kansas City currently is family. I'd rather be southern Missouri or northern Arkansas, I think, out in the middle of nowhere. Have a freshwater spring on property and cows." Larson said maybe giant bones in a cave. You never know. Never know. Looks like a lot of people have worn a path to the top here. Might as well check it out. Probably a lot of Jeep owners drove up this. What's really good is I'm keto right now. Have been for about 4 days, I think. 4, maybe 5, I think 4 days. So everything I'm burning right now is fat because there ain't no carbs in me to burn. Whew. We made it. Huh. A little fire there. So, oh, so beautiful. This is just cave country, man. Right in the middle of it. We were right down there a minute ago looking at 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 Natasha said, flying over Texas, I was surprised to see how many lakes there were. No wonder there are so many bass tournaments held there. For now, stuck in Arizona. That sucks. Where are you at in Arizona anyways? Paul said, nice. And Paul's Handyman said, are there any forests in Texas? Oh yeah, the northeast of Texas is all piney woods. Lots and lots of pine. It's like when you think of especially northeastern Texas, you call it eastern Texas too, but specifically if you're thinking of northeastern Texas, just think Arkansas. Well, I don't know, I guess if you're not familiar with the piney woods in Arkansas, then that wouldn't help, but the northeast part of Texas, lots of pretty pine woods. I'm hoping I can round this thing and kind of stay up high. No, it's gonna take me down low. Oof, looky here. See that? All kinds of cave up in this hill, I promise. It kind of makes me want to just follow this down now. I was gonna go kind of get up on top of that and walk it down from the top, but now I want to see if there's more holes. Pretty rugged. See, I just don't want to get driven all the way down to the bottom of the hill, though. Oh, still upright. All right, gonna have to come down some. Mike said I went to Texas one. The wind almost blew me off my feet. Paul said, "You okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. Just doing some slipping. I've got a phone in one hand, coffee in the other, so I can't hold on to anything. And I'm wearing my new boots, which my feet just have to still learn. Not that any of that's an excuse. I just trip and fall. Nothing wrong with tripping. But just trying to get through this slope without killing myself. So far, I'm making it. Looks like some stuff's been going on up there. Tell y'all what, these new boots feel so good on my feet. Richard McGuire, good morning, sir. There's more. They've even, oh man, that goes too. You can see, I mean, maybe you can't see, but I can see through those shadows. This actually goes. I know there's cave up here. Let's see. Cavers are a secretive bunch. We don't like to share cave locations and stuff. Now that's a mine right there, probably. Could have been a mine we were just at too, you never know, but I still know there's plenty of cave up here. Well, let's go check out this mine from the front. And a lot of times, these mines were caves, and they're only mines now because the cave gave the access to figure out that there was something to mine. Oh my goodness. It is full of junk and stuff, but it also goes back in over there. Yeah. I got a feeling the natives probably spent a lot of time right around this hill. See, here's more. Paul's handyman said, as far as wind goes, it seems that driving in this morning, the wind was trying to blow my truck right off the road. Natasha up in Gilbert. It's like near the Phoenix area, isn't it? Y'all are invited down to the camp out on May 2nd as well. Just FYI, as an open invitation. I don't know how many people are going to come. It's technically a Founders and Fathers event, but it's also for just anyone that's doing anything with the Bulletproof Handyman stuff too. So which way am I going to go back? I'm going to take that little road over there. In fact, we'll drop down kind of to the valley floor here. Richard said, where's the camp out? It's going to be down here south of Tucson. It's the specific place, if you want to Google it, is Gardner Canyon Dispersed Camping Area. Google will show you the correct spot if you do Gardner Canyon Dispersed Camping Area. It's off of Highway 83 South, which is a highway that goes south of I-10 down to Sonoyta. Gardner Canyon Dispersed Camping Area. It's the purpose is a Founders and Fathers meeting for whoever joins Founders and Fathers down here. But like I said, it's also just for anybody associated with the Bulletproof Handyman channel. So something along the lines of like 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. is going to be the actual Founders and Fathers meeting. But me and Chris are going to camp like we always do. And any of y'all who want to come to the meeting can come to the meeting. And if you got camping gear and you want to bring it and camp, you can camp. If you don't have camping gear and you want to borrow some of mine, you can let me know in advance and I'll make sure to bring what you'll need for your tent and all of that good stuff. Natasha said, okay, that was a mountain lion cave. Yeah, I tell you what, when I was a caver, that was one of the only things I was ever truly, truly scared of. Not scared of bears, not even scared of the prospect of mountain lions. When I'm just out in the wilderness, just hiking, and I know that I'm in an area that they frequent, it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is going to a new cave. Well, it doesn't even have to be new. Going to any cave, really. That big, dark hole at the entrance that you can't see past. You know it's a place a mountain lion would like to be. You don't know if there is or isn't one. You know the mountain lion probably isn't going to go deeper into the cave because it didn't have its headlamp on today, which means it's going to stay at the mouth of the cave as you walk closer and closer. And then if and when it finally decides it needs to get the hell away from you, is it going to go through you or past you to get away? Who knows? Some of my only truly scared moments caving were those exact scenarios. By the way, it's still going to be a while before I can get around to writing them up a big official proposal, but ERGO NEXT Insurance is interested in sponsoring a camper for Bulletproof Handyman community. And if they do sponsor one, I'm going to get a big one, and it's going to be a toy hauler specifically, because the toy haulers just have tons of interior space, but more importantly, they can carry a lot of weight, which means my camper is also my trailer for hauling all my camping gear. And because of the additional weight that a toy hauler can hold, I'm going to be able to add but I'm going to be able to add a lot of gallons of potable water and wastewater storage and maybe solar panels and batteries and all of that good stuff. So right now I'm heavily considering how much money I want to ask them for and what I want to do with that money. Because I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of probably asking them for 14 grand. Plus they pay for the wrap, because we would be wrapping it with ERGO NEXT Insurance branding. So 14 grand plus they pay for the wrap, but then I'll put in 10 grand too. And what I think that's going to mean is something like a $20,000 camper toy hauler. And then that leaves $4,000 for solar and batteries and potable water and stuff to expand that out. But the idea will be that, once we have that camper, then I can host campouts with, maybe like 12 attendees per campout or something. And we can all fit in the camper. Or even if we don't all fit in the camper, even if it's a bigger event, and even if it's just not intended for people to sleep in a camper at all, we'll have a shower and a bathroom and a kitchen, and we'll have some air conditioning so some people can, well, that dog doesn't like me. We'll have some air conditioning so some people can get into the AC with their kids and stuff if they need. Richard said, 13-hour drive from me, not too bad. Man, that sounds like Colorado Springs. Actually, Colorado Springs, I think it was about 14 hours. Well, for me anyways. Natasha said I was just going to say to watch your ankles and knees. Hope you braced up. Richard said Bay Area, Cali. Right on. Right on. Oh, what time is it? 7:38. Oh, I was up at 4 this morning. No particular reason. Just getting older now, and my body's just randomly deciding that sometimes we're gonna wake up at 4. I already wake up at 5 naturally, so apparently we're moving to 4. right. Well, that ain't a road I can go down either. There is a road right over there. I just don't want to walk through this person's campsite. Edward said finally got the cabinet door prep done. Now to go get paint. You painting on the job or at home? All right, back to some paved road. I may, in a moment, we're coming up on 2 hours. I might let y'all go and listen to a podcast. That was kind of nice last time I did that. I didn't even have the podcast on half the time. I just hiked quietly, looking at plants. Edward said home. I can't stand to prep in a house. I've got a booth at home. That's good. There's a lot more than a lot of people think that goes into something simple, just like painting a door. Edward said, most definitely I'm charging $1,150 to refinish a dual sink vanity. Very nice. It's a good example of there being a client for every price. You can do, in a crappy rental, you can buy a vanity, cheap little Walmart vanity with a cultured marble top. You could buy the whole damn thing for $119. and you can go swap that out in about an hour and a half, charge $300 or $400 for that hour and a half of your time, be making great money, and still not even be charging more than $500 or $600 for a whole new vanity. Or you can just refinish a nicer vanity in a nicer house for a client that has a little more money and be charging twice the price, and there's not even a new vanity involved. It's just refinishing the current one. Because there's different quality levels, and there's always a client for every price, including clients for way more money than what I charge. Edward said this is a solid maple plywood box, 65-inch vanity. To replace it would have been $2,100 for drywall repair, tear out, and put back. Yeah, that's another thing to consider is the drywall repair. You got to watch that with vanities. Sometimes the height of the backsplash, if they do or don't have a backsplash, can cause some drywall repair. And trying to remember if I learned that the hard way or if I just almost learned that. No, that's what it was. The first time that circumstance happened to me it was a cheap vanity that I replaced, but when I put the new one back, now luckily it was only about an inch difference, but there was an inch-long strip where there was not texture and paint, because the new vanity plus its cultured marble top and backsplash was an inch shy of where the last one had been. Now luckily this was a cheaper, older rental. It wasn't anything like super nice. And it also, just because of the way that the texture was done, it was like a regular Santa Fe, which we have a lot of around here, which is super easy to match. So because of the way the texture and everything was, I guess you could say I did learn the hard way, but I mean, it really wasn't all that hard because it wasn't as big of a deal as it could have been. It was maybe an extra hour and a half of my time, but it could easily have been worse. It could have been a nicer house. It could have been like a knockdown texture that really needed to be matched. And because a bathroom vanity is a high traffic, high visibility, well lit area, it would have had to have been done really well. Some pretty flowers. Oh, what do we got over there? That was not a regular little ground squirrel. Edward said that and it's custom built Nook vanity, so finding an exact match wasn't possible. So the sidewalls would have had to have been repaired and painted. Right on. There's the hill we were on over there. That's convenient. Nobody coming. It's gonna be an easy crossing. Natasha said, yes, good choice on the toy hauler. Yeah, that's definitely going to be the solution. I still got to sell Next insurance on it. The good news is that they are asking me to bring the proposal. It's something I mentioned in passing in a previous meeting I had with them, where they really just wanted to know, what can we do to support you? And I just brought it up randomly. I was like, well, I mean, I don't know if y'all are interested, but, you know, I've been trying to pitch Jobber for a couple years now on sponsoring a camper where you pay for the camper and we wrap it with your logo. And then the thing is, on every event that you sponsor, your camper's there with your wrap on it, but also on every event that any other company sponsors. And for non-sponsored events like this May 2nd camp out, if I had my Next Insurance trailer, then every time I go anywhere and do anything at all locally, or let's say within like an 8-hour drive, I would just take that thing everywhere and it would appear. So if Next Insurance sponsors it, then when I have a camp out sponsored by, you know, Jobber, the Next Insurance trailer is still going to be there, and it's going to end up in the footage, which I think is a pretty good deal for them. But anyways, I had mentioned it casually in a meeting that I had with them a few weeks ago, and they said, well, you know, like, we're interested, man. We're interested in everything. We want to know what we can do to help you, so just write up a proposal and send it to us. And I didn't think much of it, kind of forgot about it. And then I got a request a couple weeks ago saying, hey, Ray, they really want that proposal. If you could get that proposal together, they'd really like a proposal for the whole camper thing. They're interested. So that's always good news. If they're proactively coming to me and saying, hey, man, could you please take up the time to write up a piece of paper to ask us for a lot of money, you know, that's always good news when they're the ones asking you proactively to tell them how much money you want. So I'm thinking 20 grand total for the trailer. Ask them for 14, I'll put in 10. That gives me 20 grand for the trailer and 4 grand to make some improvements to make sure that the trailer can accommodate a larger number of people than usual, with additional potable water and additional wastewater and some solar and some batteries. You know, and I have a thing going with 𝗕𝗏𝗫𝗃. 𝗕𝗏𝗃 is actually one of the bigger suppliers of solar panels and batteries and stuff for like home use. So when I say I have something going with them, I don't have much going with them, but I have an email correspondence that I can pick back up on and see if I can, you know, if I do get the camper, maybe I can get the solar power for the camper sponsored by 𝗕𝗏𝗃. You never know. Edward said, learn my lesson with homes to smaller vanities that wanted swapped out. Yep. Edward said, I'll send $1,000 for a sponsor spot on the camper. That'd be cool. I'll do that. That'd actually be neat. I could probably, if I really, really had to have a camper, I could probably finance one by doing some sort of like sponsor spot just for subscribers. Have like $1,000 spots, $500 spots, $250 spots, and $100 spots. On the way back home now. I'm shocked at the number of people we have showing up today. I don't know if it's, I'll tell you what, I was gonna say maybe it's because I'm just hiking a different route. It's probably because I'm not pointing the phone at my face. Although even in the last few days, I've been not pointing the phone at my face. But today's a good day for numbers. There's the hill way back there that we were on. Edward said, I sponsor 3 races at the drag strip with guaranteed $1,500 payout. It brings out 60 to 70 racers. At one point, I saw 54 people. That's pretty cool. Speaking of racing, most of y'all know this. It's not really super public info yet, but all that really means is I just can't post it on the channel like on the website. But I will be in Talladega on like the 23rd, 24th for that whole race. So if any of y'all are in or around or near that area and want to come hang out, I don't have anything for you to register yet on the website. I did, and Jobber was like, hey, kind of need you to take that down, at least temporarily. We're not announcing publicly yet, you know, that we're sponsoring this race, but I will be there, and I will have something up on the website. In the meantime, y'all can also just email me, bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com, and let me know that you'll be around there if you want to hang out for those days. I don't have a super good view of the schedule necessarily yet, so it's kind of up in the air, but it does seem like at least for 2 of those days, for sure Saturday, 100% for Saturday, I think also for Friday, maybe Sunday in large part, but like 2 of those days do appear to be like early days that turn into late days, like where we're getting up in the morning, we're heading out to the Talladega Raceway, and I'll get to go down in the pits and meet the drivers and go in the garages, and it's apparently like, which makes sense if you're jobber and you're literally paying to sponsor a NASCAR, you know, like an entire car, and you're the main title sponsor for that car, for that race. Yeah, I guess you probably do get some special access down into the pits and stuff. So me being with that crew, I'll have that special access as well. Gonna try to do some content while I'm there for sure. I don't want to waste that opportunity. But I'm also definitely gonna set aside time I can meet y'all for coffee in the morning, can meet you for dinner some of those days late in the evening. But I want to say Sunday, though, is going to be the day. Sunday is going to be the day when everybody else is leaving, and I'm staying 1 extra night just to spend that time with you guys, with my community. So whoever's there on that Sunday night, that entire evening, like I said, is just for y'all. That's for us we could pick a library to go hang out at. We could go get some fast food and pick a park to go hang out at. We can go to, you know, some kind of barbecue shack with some live music or something. I don't really care what we do. We can go back to my hotel and order Chinese food for takeout and turn on the TV and just sit around and bullshit for all I care. But Sunday night's my night for hanging out with y'all. But all the other days, I'm still going to try to be available intermittently in the morning, evening, lunchtime, something like that. Philip said, I don't get to join you every day, but it was the right time and day to make today work. Awesome. Edward said, I'd love to go to Talladega, but have too many events happening in the next couple of months. Well, yeah, and you're going to Texas already, too. I mean, I'm going to see you the week before that. Edward, by the way, just so y'all know, Edward is coming to the Texas bunkhouse retreat as a volunteer. I mean, he's going to get the free lodging and the free food, and I'm sure it'll be a good time for him, but he's coming just to volunteer to help out for you guys. So let's give Edward a big thank you for that. He's going to be helping me out with cooking and cleaning and organizing. And by the way, you know, anytime y'all have the opportunity to pick his brain about how he's running his handyman business, it's different from mine, but it's all the same philosophy. Like his advice is going to be just as valid as my advice would ever be. So when I'm busy doing whatever I'm doing, y'all have also got him to go to, but you've got each other to go to also. You know, don't forget that everybody at this event is going to have had experiences and challenges and stuff that they've overcome, tests that they've run, new things they've tried that did or didn't work. There's going to be a lot of experience there that you can pull from. You know, even new guys who've only been doing this for a year have learned some lessons that y'all may not know either. So take advantage of the time if you do come, and make sure that you're either running your mouth or listening the entire time. Contribute what you can and get out of it whatever you can as well. And then also, most of y'all know, but I'll be in Austin in June. The company Impact, they run, you know, my relationships with my brands like Jobber and ERGO NEXT and some other Bass Pro Shops and all kinds of brands that I'm partnered with. They run those programs for their companies. They run them through third parties, and Impact is one of those third parties. The Impact platform is one of those places you go to sign up and, you know, apply to work for different brands and get your links and track your clicks and your conversions and stuff there. So that company, Impact, they have a conference called IPX. I was a speaker at the conference last year about how to grow, something about how to build and maintain like really strong communities while scaling, because those two are usually the opposite. Usually the bigger your channel gets, your YouTube channel or whatever, usually the bigger it gets, the less tight your community gets. So I spoke about how to do both, how to scale and grow, but also keep your community tight. And then this year they've invited me back, and I'm speaking on 2 different panels this year. Both of them are related to AI, but that means they're flying me down to Austin. It'll be in June. It's like the weekend of like, well, I don't even know if it's a weekend, it might be weekday. Somewhere around the ballpark of like the 9th through the 11th. I think I'm gonna be there technically the 8th through the 12th. I'm doing the same thing there. I'm staying at least 1 extra day. I'm showing up a day early and I'm leaving a day late to make sure I get time with y'all. Now that is something you can actually sign up for right now at bulletproofhandyman.com. And then the Talladega one, I'll have y'all able to sign up for that soon. I'm just waiting on Jobber to give me the go-ahead to post it publicly. They have to release, you know, announce publicly that they're sponsoring. I don't even know if they know which car they're sponsoring yet. Two hours and 12 minutes. 8:05 a.m. Mike said I'm back, had to run into the depot. Right on. Not too far from home now. Definitely filming today. I've got a video all laid out from yesterday. It's going to be about the 6, call them rules. They're not rules. 6 categories that directly sort of set how much profit there is on any particular job. So yesterday I got it all kind of mapped out and outlined and ready. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna film it in the car while driving. I kind of like doing those, and I have places I need to drive to anyways, so that's definitely downtime that I can't use for other things. And I have the camera mount already set up in the car permanently, so all I have to do is just pop in my microphone and pop my camera in. Well, hello. All I gotta do is just pop the microphone on and start recording, and I can make good use of a drive, so that's probably how I'll film this one. But that's the main thing I'm doing today. And then I do have a couple little shorts that I'm doing for Jobber. I gotta get those filmed either today or tomorrow, either one. But I do need to have them filmed before I go to Texas, and I'm leaving for Texas on the 15th. So I gotta hurry up. But that's what's on the list for today. Edward said, Mike, are you also the humble handyman? Yes, he is. I'll tell you what, Emily's calling me, so I'm gonna let you guys go, all right? I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see y'all on the next one. And I'm back. Sorry, I tried to tell y'all I was leaving. I realized, though, I'm pretty sure when my phone's ringing, I don't think y'all can hear me, so I was saying that I'm gonna be right. Well, actually, I was saying I'm gonna just go ahead and let y'all go, but then I couldn't stop the stream, so then I said I'll be right back, and now I'm back. So here we are. Oh, Mike, Edward was asking if you are also the humble handyman. Some pretty cactus there. Mike said, just made it back to the move out. I'm almost home. Just about a block and a half, 2 blocks away. Mike said, yeah, this account is from my phone. Yeah, it's true. I never noticed that you have, sometimes it says Humble Handyman and sometimes it says Mike Neal. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm just a block from home now, so love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.